Right, and you're starting now.
Good afternoon, my name is Dr. Anne Carter and I'm the course leader for the Applied Animal Science course here at Barony. So I'm going to give you a bit of an introduction to what we do here, background to the course and opportunity for any questions. So I'm hoping you will be able to see the PowerPoint presentation I'm just going to run through. So just really wanted to talk about the fact that the course is very much open to a wide range of species. The advantage we've got of running the animal science is it is a core science degree, so it gives you that opportunity to be covering topics across a lot of different species rather than perhaps being restricted to livestock or equine or exotics. So it's a really good course if you're not quite sure which area you want to go into, or you have a general interest in animals. So just to give you a little bit of a run through, I'm just going to talk through the structure of the degree because it's a little bit different to some of the other courses we run at Barony or at SRUC. What you'll be learning and some of the modules you'll be covering in year 3 and year 4. A little bit about how you'll learn here and the opportunities open to you, and then a little bit of information on careers and the support and resources available at Barony and across SRUC, and opportunity to ask any questions you have. So as I mentioned, my name is Dr. Anne Carter. I'm the programme lead for the Applied Animal Science degree. I've been at Barony now for a year and I have been teaching for about 15 years now. A lot of my background and work relates to heat stress and looking at heat stress in particularly dogs and how we can kind of mitigate the effects of heat stroke. Now starting to look at that in cows as well. And also looking at gait analysis, again, range of species, but particularly focusing on dogs. And the advantage of the research side of things is it means that actually what you're being taught in your lectures is current information, it's research based, and it's driven of the areas of expertise that we have amongst the teaching team. So we have 4 members of the core teaching team, myself. So my original background was behaviour and welfare, and as I said, I branched out a little bit into temperature monitoring, biomechanics, hypothermia. Nicola, who previously worked at the Vet Lads in Dumfries and RSPCA and has a BSc in zoology, so a really varied background as well. And she does a lot of the lab side of things and physiology lecturing, and also has an interest in the animal welfare side. Mia, who is more of a livestock background, so she has a degree in zoology as well. I've just realised that 3 of us have done a degree in zoology, and she looked at broilers, so poultry, for her PhD, and she is very interested in the nutrition side of things, production animals, and also statistics. She's an absolute whiz at her statistics. And Viola, who's a new member of the teaching team, who's joined us from Glasgow University, so she has an interest in livestock and in equine, again, nutrition and animal welfare. So you can see we've got a real variation in areas of interest and expertise, which hopefully supports a wide range of interests in our students as well. So in terms of the structure of the degree, the BSc is a top-up degree, so it's the 3rd and 4th year of the BSc. So you'll need to have completed an HND in an appropriate subject to come onto the top-up. That means something like animal care or biosciences or a similar science-based background. Please have a chat with me if you're not sure whether your background or your HND is appropriate to the course, or whether you're deciding what to do for your HND and making sure that it would link in to doing the top up. But it essentially gives you a follow on from something like the animal care or the biosciences to combine that animal interest with the science perspective. It is a full-time degree. We are on campus usually around 3 days a week in taught sessions, and then there is obviously additional reading, self-directed study and assessments to do. And the idea is that you can do those and manage your own time. So if you're looking at a part-time job alongside your studies, you're able to fit that in. The majority of the sessions are in person on campus. I think that's a really important aspect of what we do, is having that face-to-face contact, having that time to build a community within the course, but also an opportunity to be running things like practical sessions, trips. But we do have some online content where we can utilise some of the lecturers at places like Edinburgh and the research staff. And so we can share some of the seminars with Edinburgh. And that means we can live stream some of those or watch pre-records and have seminars associated with the content that they provide. So it gives us a really nice balance of kind of being able to exploit some of what they're doing at the other campuses, utilise their knowledge, but also to be able to have those face-to-face sessions at Barony as well. And it also means that if we're looking at things like assessments, we can again join forces with some of the people at Edinburgh, some of the students out there, and run some hybrid or some online conferences and sessions where we can work together on different aspects as well. So it gives a sort of really nice balance to that. So in terms of what you'll learn, overall the animal science is really about the integration of animal systems, so thinking about things like our fundamentals, our anatomy, our physiology, how that interacts with the production of our animal. That might be production in terms of a product, so milk or meat or offspring, or actually it might be a product in terms of performance. So how our animal is functioning in terms of its gait, in terms of perhaps its movement, getting the best out of it, so speed or endurance in our animals. Also how they interact with the environment, so thinking about our wildlife and our ecology. We have huge challenges with human-animal interactions, both with livestock and also where we are sort of encroaching on wildlife habitats as well, and it's important to understand those interactions. And then thinking about it in terms of health, welfare, behaviour of the animal, but also again thinking about how that interacts on the human side of things as well. So the impact of things like climate change, the impact of things like human-animal interactions. We know that animals have a positive effect on us, our health and welfare, but what's the impact of us on their health and welfare as well? It is a massive subject area, and we could manage a degree in each of these components individually. So it allows us to cover a lot of different areas and give you a real taster for all those different aspects. But that also allows you the freedom to start tailoring your degree and the areas you want to focus on, particularly when we think about things like dissertation projects towards the end of your degree. But also the assignments allow you to focus on a particular topic that might interest you. So although it might be, for example, an assessment on nutrition, the species and the area you might cover are something that you can work to a particular area that you are interested in, rather than being constrained by you must do your assessment on cows, for example. So it's a really good way to think about, well, what am I interested in? What do I want to focus my ideas on and learn more about as well? So it is a predominantly theory-based course, but we use our practical skills and our practical sessions to support that theory. So it's really about thinking, how can we put that theory into practice? We have labs at Barony, so we can set up lab practicals, and we have fantastic facilities both on the farm. So we've got a dairy at Barony and at Crichton that we can utilise, and that we can use for both handling practicals, but also thinking about behaviour practicals, welfare assessments. And again, data for dissertation projects. We've got a student looking at calf scour, so the joys of diarrhea in calves for her dissertation project this year, and looking at some of the risk factors associated with that. And she's using data from the cows at Crichton. We also have sheep on site, and we've got a small animal unit as well. So there's lots of opportunity to get involved with a range of different species. We organise visits, so you can get out and about, again, to some of the bigger lab facilities, but also things like feed mills, so for our nutrition side of things. Other farms, so we've got other farms associated with SRUC looking at things like climate change, genetics, and then trips to places like the post-mortem rooms and vet labs in Dumfries, linking to our health and physiology. And some of the labs are set at Edinburgh, so the students, 40 students were up there last week for a visit. And then things like local kennels and catteries to look at, again, welfare and disease. So it's really thinking about how we can integrate these visits into aspects related to the content of the modules and allowing us to facilitate that learning and putting that theory back into practice. There's also opportunities for trips abroad. These vary year on year, but we work with companies like Gap Africa and Operation Wallacea to allow you to travel, to go abroad for a few weeks in the summer, but again linking these back to talk components, so thinking about what you've learned in your studies, looking at things like data collection with Operation Wallacea, and really thinking about the wider implications, particularly again of human-animal interactions. So this just gives you the modules that we cover over the course of the 2 years of the top-up degree. So you can see we start off with some of the more fundamentals, so thinking about physiology, growth development, and setting the scene with things like our welfare and our nutrition that we can lead on to in final year. Because then in your 4th year, you've got 4 modules that are compulsory, so your animals and climate change, animals at the centre of global issues, so really thinking about ethics and those human-animal interactions and the impact of our changing environment, which is obviously very topical at the moment with understanding how we keep and maintain animals, but also the impact that the environment is having both on our livestock, our companion animals, and also on our wildlife. Things like increasing disease risk and disease outbreaks, looking at our breeding and genetics, but then you get to choose between your animal nutrition and your animal welfare to take one of those topic areas a little bit further and more in depth than we're covering in 3rd year. So you'll get an overview of nutrition and welfare in your 3rd year, but you've got an opportunity to specialise a little bit more in your final year, and then your honours project, which is a really good opportunity to get your teeth into an area that really interests you. And this is kind of really as much as your imagination can take you a little bit. We've had a whole range of dissertations going on over the last few years. We had a student last year looking at alpaca and wool traits and genetics in alpaca. We've had students looking at carcass quality in sheep, owner perception, so thinking about how owners feel about obesity in horses and how good they are at understanding obesity. We've had students looking at temperature monitoring in canine patients, stress and guilt, so piglets and pigs. So really is a wide range of different aspects that you can look at, and really thinking about all the topic areas that you would cover through the course, anything from nutrition, behaviour, welfare, physiology, all of those different things we can support in terms of dissertation projects. So it really is a good opportunity to do something that really interests you and start to thinking about where you want to go next in terms of opportunities and careers. So what can you do with a career in animal science? Well, it's one of those degrees and opportunities that really does lead on to a whole host of different aspects. There is no one career path, which can make it quite challenging to decide where you want to go, but it also does mean that you can sort of go anywhere. All of the professions associated with veterinary and agriculture look for animal scientists to support. So things like artificial insemination, nutrition, animal behaviour, welfare assessment, all of those different aspects require animal scientists of some sort. So it really does open up a lot of opportunities for you. And so that it can make it challenging to decide where you want to go, but it also means at this stage, if you're not 100% sure the direction you want to head in, it's not closing any of those doors by choosing a very specific degree. Ultimately, it also gives you a core science degree. So again, if you're looking at going into some of the more sort of generic graduate schemes, perhaps in business, or you're just looking for a role that will utilise that science, then it really is a good stepping stone for that as well. And this just gives you some examples of the different aspects that our students have gone into. So some of them have stayed in education to go on to masters and PhDs, or into teaching, secondary school teaching particularly. Areas of things like veterinary sales, nutrition is a huge one, and is often looking for graduates to go into nutrition roles, physiotherapy, livestock farming, and then working with industries like or working with the Scottish Government, some of our welfare assessment industries, so RSPCA, Blue Cross, Ducks Trust, just a few examples there for you. But as you can see, there is such a huge varied range of opportunities there. It really does allow you to go in lots of different directions, which I think is a really, really good aspect of the degree going forwards. So in terms of Barony and the campus and the facilities we've got, I think Barony is a wonderful campus. As I said, I've only been at Barony for a year, and it's a really friendly and welcoming place, and it has a real sense of community. We have the advantage that it's not too big, so we have relatively small class sizes, and so you really do get that kind of one-to-one personal feel with the support you get from the teaching team and the other staff on campus, which I really like. As I mentioned, we have fantastic facilities. We have the farm at Barony and at Crichton that we can utilise for teaching. We have the animal care unit, and next door to that we've got Wildlife Hospital, which is independent, but we can use that for teaching purposes, and that gives us a nice balance between the very hands-on side of the animal care unit and the hands-off approach of dealing with animals in the Wildlife Hospital. We've got stables and obviously horses, so again we can use them for teaching. We can look at things like gait analysis, lameness assessment in horses compared to cows, and we've obviously got a wide range of classroom facilities, smart boards, technology, so again we can really utilise different aspects of that. And we have just a wonderful landscape to be in. We've got acres and acres of fields, we've got the orchards, and it's just a lovely place to be. It's a very relaxing environment to be studying in. But we also have the advantage of being part of the wider SRUC, so we can utilise facilities on the other campuses, which again really gives us a positive perspective in terms of what we've got access to, both in terms of facilities but also in terms of lecturers and specialists across the different areas of SRUC. The teaching team are wonderful, and they are so supportive of our students. And the nice thing, as I said, because we have relatively small class sizes, it does mean that we get to know our students on a one-to-one basis, and we can provide that support. And alongside that, as I said, we've got research active teaching team, which means that we are utilising the current up-to-date thinking and literature, but we also have the consultants within SRUC as well to be able to bring their knowledge to the teaching and provide guest lecturers and support. We have lots of external contacts, both for teaching, work experience and potential opportunities going forward. And Barony is growing. You know, we are getting bigger as a student population. Again, that's really nice to see that community grow, particularly our postgraduate community. Again, it allows us to have PhD students who can support teaching and support students as well. So I've covered a little bit of this already in terms of class sizes and face-to-face teaching. Alongside that, you will get a dedicated year tutor, so a member of the teaching team who will follow you through your studies. So you've got a kind of initial person to go to with any queries or concerns, and to have regular meetings and support with them. We also have student support services on campus who are really valuable, both in providing pastoral support, but also anything like financial support as well. Library facilities, we have a library on campus where you can use computers, go and study. We have a whole range of books in there, but we also have a increasingly big online resource in terms of our library offering, which means that if you are working from home at your studies, or you want access to particular books and journals, then you're able to get those through the library services as well. We've got career support. So again, thinking about what you want to do when you finish and how you might want to get there. That career support is available right through your studies. And as I said, campus is in a wonderful rural location, but actually close enough to Dumfries to be really accessible as well. And this is what we're aiming for at the end of the day, is graduation. At the moment in Bute Hall in Glasgow, but I wonder if this might change over the next few years. But it is a wonderful experience to see you all graduating and see all your friends and family there as well. So this is the goal at the end of the day, is heading for graduation. So a little bit of a whistle-stop tour of the course and the opportunities open to you. But if anyone has any questions they would like to ask, please fire away.
Hello. Right, we have a few questions here.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first question is, how big are the applied animal science classes?
So we generally have around about 10 students in the classes for the applied animal science. We do have some sessions that might be shared with our agriculture students. So some of the modules we run, they have as optional modules. So there might be some of those that are slightly bigger. We pick up 1 or 2 students from them. But yeah, on the whole, usually about 10 students. Obviously for the optional modules, it can go the other way. There'll be slightly smaller class sizes depending who picks which modules.
Great, thank you. Is it only Barony that does applied animal science?
So applied animal science is offered at Barony and at Edinburgh campus. Edinburgh offers the 4-year degree, whereas we offer the top-up. We run the same modules, but we run it slightly differently in terms of facilities. So Edinburgh is obviously within the city, whereas we have the outdoor facilities and the farm on campus. I'm not going to say which one's better, but I like having the outdoor facilities and the farm on campus.
Okay, thank you. Can you do the course part-time?
I actually don't know the answer to that one. I haven't had any part-time students. I think you would be able to do it part-time, but that is one I would need to check for you.
Not a problem. I'll add the email addresses to the link. Is the HND Rural Animal Health accepted for entry to the top-up degree?
Yes. Yes, sorry, I had to think about that one because that's a new one coming through. But yes, we would take students on the rural animal health onto the top up. That's not a problem at all. And actually, that's quite a nice opportunity to really get your balance of your science and your sort of animal interest in there to then come onto the animal science top up.
Okay, then the next question we have, can you choose an animal to focus on?
We cover a whole range of species, so we would provide you with kind of knowledge across the different species. There is flexibility in your assessments as what species you might be covering. Now, it might say that it needs to be a ruminant species for a particular assessment, or it might guide you in a particular direction, but there is flexibility to choose species within your assessments. I would say be cautious if you wanted to focus on one individual species and try and look at a range of species, but certainly for your dissertation you can absolutely focus on a single species there, and a really good opportunity to do that as well.
Thank you. Are you able to help us get in contact with businesses who might offer a career after, or are we left to do that ourselves?
We'll always provide support. It obviously depends which type of area you want to go into. If it's something weird and wonderful and obscure, then we might not be able to, but we can certainly suggest companies you could get involved with and get in contact with. We obviously have the career service on campus who can support you, and we have contacts that if we've got people we can put you in contact with, we will do as well, or if there's people who might be able to offer advice and support. So a little bit dependent on which area and which direction you want to go into, but certainly I said we do have contacts that we can help and support with, and we'll offer advice ourselves if we think that there's aspects that might help you in heading off into a career in that direction. Then again, we can do that as well.
Perfect, thank you. That's the last of the questions. I'll just give it a few more moments just to make sure that was the last one. Okay, no more questions.
Afternoon feeling, I think.
Absolutely. No more questions seem to be coming through.
Okay, well, thank you for your time, and I hope that was interesting. We do have an on-campus open day coming up in 7th of November. Have I got that right? Yes, 7th of November. So that will be from 4 till 7 p.m. on campus at Barony. So if you would like to have a chat face to face, if you'd like some more information, I will be there from about 4:15 because I am teaching until 4 o'clock. So please come and say hi. You don't have to stay for the whole duration of it, but it's a really good opportunity if you want to have a chat about the course, if you want any more details, and you want to have a look around the facilities as well. So please do come along to that if you can. Otherwise, thank you, and I hope it's given you a real insight into what we offer at Barony, and I hope you're interested in coming along to join us on the course.